What's going on YouTube? Welcome to the Justin Ox Smith channel. Chances are if you're watching this video you're about to install an amplifier into your truck or car or SUV, and I don't want you guys to overthink this, so I'm going to simplify this and explain only what you need to know. I'm not going to talk you all to death. This may be a short video, but I'm going to get the point across and get out of here because we are actually on the YouTube channel. We're building a subwoofer enclosure, and in order for me to test it and tidy up everything on the subwoofer enclosure, I have to install my amplifier so we can test out the subwoofer. Chances are you're installing an amplifier either for one, a subwoofer, or two, your door speakers. And this video is going to be more towards the subwoofer. Some of this you'll still be able to take away and use the information for installing an amplifier for the door speakers as well. You're just going to be doing a little bit of wiring with your door speakers and maybe some crossover stuff like that. So, of course, if you're watching this video, you're probably new to car audio, and I'm definitely not the best at car audio, but you know, I can do the simple things. I would really recommend just to buy a wiring kit. You're going to want to read on your amplifier and see what gauge of wire the amplifier recommends. This, for an instance, is 0 gauge. My subwoofer and my amplifier before required 4 gauge, and then my new stuff requires 0 gauge. So that's just the thickness of wire, and the bigger the number, the thinner the wire is. So you'd think it'd be the other way around, but it's not. So 0 gauge is pretty much as big as you can go. I think there's -4 or something like that. I think there is one other one. I think it's called Alt4 or something like that. But anyway, you're going to be installing either 6 gauge or 4 gauge or something like that. That doesn't really matter. But make sure that you do read on the description of your amplifier and figure out what gauge of wiring kit you need to buy that has the correct gauge wire, so then it doesn't kick the fuse or get the wire hot or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and set my camera up and talk to you for a second about the 4 components of getting your amplifier wired up to your car. So you've got your battery up front. You're going to want to run a power wire, which you'll get in the wiring kit, and I'll link a couple in the description box down below. I'll link a couple kits on Amazon that I would recommend, and I'll label them what gauge of wire each kit is. So I'll do probably 4 and 6. That's the most common. And if it calls for a 6 gauge wire, then you do a 4 gauge wire, which would be bigger than what it calls for. It's not going to hurt anything at all. It's just going to give it less voltage drop. So you could do that if you wanted to as well. But the most common ones are going to be 4 and 6, so that's probably what I'll throw down into the description box down below. And if you're doing a larger system, I'll also throw a 0 gauge just like I have. So anyway, let's get into these 4 things that you're going to get in your wiring kit. You are going to get a power wire, which goes from your battery all the way back to your amplifier. Then you are going to get a ground wire, which is going to go from your amplifier to the cab of the vehicle, or the body of the vehicle, or the frame of the vehicle. Every vehicle is going to be a little bit different. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to figure out yourself, but it goes from the amplifier to a good ground. A good ground is very, very important in car audio. So that's got 2 things covered. Your third thing is going to be a remote wire, okay? And if you have an aftermarket head unit, this is going to be pretty easy. If you don't have an aftermarket head unit, you can use a, I forget the name of it. Somebody in the comments will comment down below, I'm sure. But they make like a little box that goes into your speaker wire, and I think that's kind of what kicks the vehicle to tell it when to turn on the amplifier. And I'll link one of those down below if I can think of the name. Of course, I go completely blank whenever I'm trying to explain this. But generally, and especially on older vehicles, you're going to have an aftermarket head unit if you're doing car audio. So you'll have a remote wire, and you'll be able to read on the color diagram. It's typically going to be blue. So you'll splice that blue wire. You have to take out your head unit, and on your harness there will be a blue wire. Probably won't be used. It'll just be dangling there, and you'll tap that wire in, and I'll go ahead and show you that right quick. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this kit right here. So right here, if you see this little blue wire, it's not going to be carrying much current. It doesn't have to be big, but that blue wire will go from the back of your head unit hooking onto the remote wire coming from your head unit harness. right there. So you'll just splice that in and solder it and electrical tape it or heat shrink it, whatever you decide to do. Then you've got your power wire right here. That's what goes from the battery back to the amplifier. And then you have your ground wire. Okay, now a little tip for your ground wire right quick. You want your ground wire to be as short as possible. The shorter your ground is, the better that your ground is gonna be, as long as it has a good, as long as it's grounded to a good spot, the shorter the better. Also, something that's very, very important with your power wire, you want to get you a good fuse box, or I've seen some people run breakers, some people run fuses. There's all kinds of stuff that will come with your wiring kit that I will have linked down below in the description box. And then of course you've got your terminals. You're going to get your terminals that will hook to your battery, and then I'm sure there's a ground one in here as well. And this kit right here actually came with a grommet, if you can see that, just in case you have to drill a hole in your firewall for running any of these wires. So there's one thing left, and that is also for newer vehicles. It's going to be a little bit different, so you have to do some more research, but I'm just going to keep this simple. You're going to have RCA wires, and RCA wires are going to plug into, they look kind of like TV cable wires, like the colored ones. You have two of them, and they plug into the red and white on the back of your aftermarket head unit, and then those go, you know, obviously you run those back to wherever your amplifier is going to be mounted. And the kits that I will link below, they will come with RCAs. I already have RCAs from my older kit, and the thickness of RCA or none of that actually matters. All RCAs are pretty much the same. So I didn't replace the RCA cables that are already ran for my setup, because the amplifier is going back in the same exact location. So I didn't have to change out the RCAs, and I'll show you that right quick. So these are your RCA cables. You're gonna have a red and white one, or blue and white. I've seen them red and white, blue and white, black and gray, black and white. And those are just these little bitty plug-ins right here. And those go all the way through here, through the door seal, underneath there. And then those go all the way to the back of my aftermarket head unit. Pretty much everything. I was doing this, so I figured I would make a little bit of a informational video, because I remember a time in my life when I didn't know any of this. And I know for most of y'all, especially if you're a subscriber here on the channel, that you may be a little bit advanced for this video, and that's perfectly fine. This video is targeted towards the people who are wanting to learn and save money at home, of course, just like I'm all about. And install their amplifier, their speakers, all of that together. And if you click that subscribe button down below and watch the subwoofer box build that we're doing, I'll be showing in there, obviously running the wires and stuff like that. I just wanted to make a quick video and talk about this a little bit and go over, like I said, those 4 main points. So that pretty much is going to wrap up this video. I appreciate y'all watching. Like I said, if you're not a subscriber already, please click that subscribe button down below. It really helps out the channel a lot. Comment if you have any other tips, or for the newer vehicle owners that don't want to do an aftermarket head unit, if they don't have an aftermarket head unit, I think it's called like an inline converter or something like that. It does something with the door speakers if you don't want to run RCAs, and I think that works with the remote wire as well. So that would eliminate the remote wire, not to confuse the new people. But if you have, you know, an older truck or an older car, anything with an aftermarket head unit that has RCA hookups in the back, you just have power wire, ground wire, remote wire, and RCAs. Very simple, straightforward. If you have the newer car, you want to keep the factory head unit, go ahead and look in the comments down below. I'm sure somebody will comment, or you can look in the description of this video, and I will try to link what you'll need. And each vehicle is going to be different, so I may just type out what it's called, and you'll want to find something like that for your specific application, and find 1,000 other videos on how to install an amplifier. So don't be afraid to get out there and watch other people's videos as well. You can learn more and more. The more you research something, you can just learn more and more about it. And when playing with power wire and voltage and head units and radios and all that, it's never a bad idea to over-research something. So definitely do your research before you go out and try this yourself. But like I said, guys, you all got this. Hit that subscribe button down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have anything to say that may help somebody new in the car audio world. And with that being said, guys, that's going to be all for today's video. Always remember, everybody starts out as a nobody, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.